Hi. Today we're taking a deep dive into Chaturanga and other variations and customizations of this posture that you can use throughout a Vinyasa practice. So you hear the term Vinyasa in a Vinyasa practice. Sometimes it's shorthand for take your Vinyasa, which has evolved. Hi. Today we're taking a deep dive into Chaturanga and other variations and customizations that you can take in your Vinyasa practice. So the word Vinyasa means to place in a careful way. It's also the practice of linking breath with movement. But a lot of times in a class, you'll hear a teacher say, take your Vinyasa when referencing the Chaturanga sequence. So Chaturanga is lowering halfway down, upward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. So if you hear a teacher say, take your vinyasa, that's what they mean. And I think the phrase your vinyasa is really important here because it doesn't always have to look like that. There are other variations on this movement that you can take. It's really critical if you're going to do an actual chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, to have correct alignment in this posture because of the potential for repetitive strain. It's a movement that's performed a lot throughout a class, and I actually personally injured my shoulder from doing it incorrectly. I thought I was doing it right for a very long time, and then I placed myself in front of a mirror, got really serious about my alignment, and I practiced and taught myself how to do it in a new way. So, really important for chaturanga is that you only lower halfway down. So many times, see people when they lower down all the way, their chest to the ground. This is a prime posture for injury. So when you lower down, set yourself up in a high plank. You shift 1 to 2 inches forward, squeeze your elbows into your side as you lower just halfway down. Then transition to upward facing dog by placing the tops of your feet on the mat. Press your chest forward, squeeze your shoulders behind you, pull in your belly button. Downward facing dog, roll over on the tops of your feet, then flip your toes, press back into downward facing dog. So it's really important to have good alignment for that posture to avoid injury. If you noticed when I was lowering down, my arms were shaking because it's not easy. It's a challenging posture. So there are lots of variations and customizations that you can use throughout your vinyasa practice that work different muscle groups and also change it up a little bit. So you're not doing the exact same thing all the time throughout class. You're working different muscle groups and giving yourself an opportunity to listen to your body and explore what your body wants. So one of my favorite variations is to take chaturanga on your knees. It's great for building tricep strength. You're able to focus on the alignment of your arms without worrying about holding yourself up so much. So you shift 1 to 2 inches forward, drop down on your knees, pull your belly button to your spine, lower halfway down, squeezing your elbows to your sides. Then when you come into upward facing dog, be sure to lift your knees back up off the mat. Transition to downward facing dog. Squeeze your belly and flip your toes. So that's one option. Another option is to lower all the way down onto the mat. I love this variation. It's great for building low back strength. So hinge forward, lower down, straight onto your belly. You can also use your knees to lower down. With your hands right by your low ribs, squeeze your shoulders and elbows together behind you. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. Inhale, baby cobra. You're working on back strength here. Exhale, downward facing dog, either pressing up onto your knees into downward facing dog or from the ground, flipping your toes, squeezing your belly, pressing straight up into a plank, and then downward facing dog. Another option is to skip this whole movement altogether. When you hear cues for chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, simply hold a high plank, squeeze all your muscles to the bone, and then transition to downward facing dog. You do have the option of skipping all of this altogether, simply pressing back into a downward dog to listen to your body, take stock of where you're at, and have a nice resting posture.